Well, good morning. We had a really nice night last night. Most of the people that were at the campground have left and it was a lot quieter than the night before. At the moment we're deciding which way to go. We have a map here and I think I've got a route. This is one of my most ambitious projects. This trip will see us travelling 13,000 kilometres across Australia to some of the most remote and amazing places. Welcome to Forex Adventures, showcasing the very best of touring and overlanding in Australia. Well, I have found a four-wheel drive track. This is Old Jim Road, and this is basically a shortcut between the Kakadu Highway and the Arnhem Highway, and they are the two main roads through Kakadu National Park. Now, we're taking a shortcut between the two roads because once we get to the Arnhem Highway, we're going to find another four-wheel drive track that's going to take us off to the coast. We're going to have a look at the Timor Sea. I'm excited because I've never been there before, and it's driving on four-wheel drive tracks is far more enjoyable than just going up and down the sealed road. Okay, we just stopped by the side of the road here. I've actually pulled off the track and there's some longish grass on the side of the track, and I just had a look under the car just to make sure I'm not stopped over some long grass. Now, there's a risk that the car could catch fire. Now, this is not as silly as it sounds because I know somebody that it happened to. They actually pulled off, they were driving on a track, they got to a gate, and rather than stay on the track to open the gate, they actually pulled off onto the grass. It was dry grass, similar to this, and they walked ahead to open the gate, only 15 meters ahead of the car. By the time they got back to the car, the grass had caught fire. It was touching his exhaust under the car, and the car burst into flame, and he was pulling a camper trailer and the whole thing burnt down. He could not stop it. He actually got burns to his arms trying to stop the fire. And the unfortunate thing is this was a guy who actually lived out of his car. That was his everything. The car and the trailer was everything he had. And it was all burnt. And not only was the car and the trailer on fire and it burnt, but then it started a grass fire. Luckily, it was on private property and people could come and help him and he was okay. But that's why I'm checking underneath the car. Anyway, the reason I've stopped is I want to show you something. So I'm just walking off the track a little bit and I'm keeping my eye open for any dangerous things, snakes and buffalo and whatever else there might be around here. And here is a little termite mound. It doesn't even come up higher than my knee. But what I wanted to show you was that termite mounds up in the north, they can grow to enormous sizes. This is absolutely enormous. I reckon this is a good 5 meters tall. It's huge. That's really amazing. It is as hard as rock, and it probably contains a few million termites, and it would have taken them a very long time to make that. And there's a lot of termite mounds exactly this size scattered all around the place here. It's amazing. They're huge. Right, time to move on, I think. We are still keeping an eye out for the ever-elusive buffalo. This is, after all, buffalo country. We've seen a fair amount of water here and there. There's water crossings, a bit of there's billabongs and things all around the place, so there's plenty of water for the buffalo to be around. So it could be anywhere, really. And there's evidence of buffalo all over the place.
It would be amazing.
Ever since we started spotting buffalo poo, Susie's been desperate to see a wild buffalo. And we were lucky enough to see them on the tour, on the cruise. But
It was hard to see them.
well, they were some distance away,
And
and the sun was just setting behind them, so they were mostly silhouetted. So it was a little bit hard to see them. But it would be really amazing to run into one, not run into one, but to see one close by. Yeah.
We have plenty.
Apparently they're quite bad-tempered, so if you do see one, just keep your distance, just roll gently past him. By the way, the name Kakadu, the word Kakadu is not actually an indigenous word. When white people arrived, the language that the Aboriginal people here spoke was Gagaju, and the word Gagaju was then mistaken for the name, and that sort of became Kakadu. Here's our first lovely little river crossing. Not much water in it. Well, I was hoping to run out and set up a camera somewhere, but Susie reckons there's crocs. Let's go around this way because I can keep one tyre on dry land, and that's always a good thing because I know that I've got grip if I do that. I can see the dry land, I can't see what's under the water, so we'll go around this way. It's less spectacular because I don't get water splashing up, but I'm not going to get bogged, and that's one thing that I don't want. Yeah, it could be crocs in there. That's pretty murky. It's always better to go around the water if you can, because you just don't know what's in the water. It could be a massive big ditch, and yes, the rule is always walk it, but when there's crocs around, and there's something like 10,000 crocs up here in Kakadu, I'm not going to rush to walk across every little puddle or river. So I think the safest thing, there's an easy way around there, and we just drove around. Well, here we go. Here's a river. Oh, our first proper water crossing.
Indicates
It looks very shallow. Oh, there's somebody camped here.
Oh.
What a lovely spot. It is very lucky. What a beautiful spot. There's a wild brumby just here, and he's just huffing and puffing, and then he did a circle and came back, puffed and puffed again, and did a bit of a wider circle and came back and looked at me. And now he's gone about 20 meters further away, but he's still there. He's just cautious of us. There's two of them. Beautiful animals. I don't know if you can see this through the camera, but they're about 30 meters from me, and they're keeping their distance, but they're curious. They haven't worked out yet whether I'm a threat or not. So that was the second lot of wild brumbies that we've seen, and both times there were warning signs that the brumbies were giving off. These ones were turning around in circles and huffing and puffing and snorting, which clearly means, yeah, I'm agitated, don't come any closer. The ones we found yesterday, he was just munching away at some grass, and I was walking past him, and as I was walking past him, he kept his backside pointed at me, and as I was walking past, he kept on pivoting and keeping his rear end towards me, because if you get any closer, that's their defense mechanism, is they kick backwards. So he was keeping his rear towards me just in case. So it's really cool to see these animals in their natural habitat with some of the behaviours that they do. It's fantastic, fascinating. Okay, we've just found a little side track heading off of old Jim Jim track, and according to HEMA maps, this is a campsite / picnic spot. I don't know whether you can camp here or not, but we've just come across another croc warning sign, and it does look a little bit overgrown.
That's the creek there.
Yeah. There's tyre tracks going off in this direction. Let's just see where they go.
It's a dry bed.
Yeah. I hope if we can't go any further, we can turn around somewhere.
I was just thinking.
So quite a lot of the national park that we've seen so far has evidence of recent backburning operations, and it doesn't look the prettiest when it's fresh, but it is a necessity for the Australian bush to regenerate. So yeah, I don't think we go any further.
No.
Very, very dense bush. Overgrown. Okay, it's time for coffee. One of the benefits of going on these four-wheel drive tracks is getting away from the heavily touristed parts of the park. You can really get a sense of the real Kakadu. I think I've just found my moment of solitude in the bush. Actually, there's quite a nice little spot here. You get some shade from the trees. It's lovely. So what I was going to show you is this thing here. So this is one of the last additions I've done to the four-wheel drive before heading off from home. And this is, you may have seen other people have this. This is basically a spare tyre tray, and you can put anything up here. It might be handy for firewood, as long as it's strapped down really tight, because it's really close to the rear window. So strapping down firewood is good for that. Strapping a jerry can or two to there. And the other thing that I find really useful for this is for standing on. It's very, very easy to get up here. And I can stand up here and do some filming, or I can reach the rooftop bag here, or the max tracks. I can even open the tent from here. So it is really good for that purpose as well. So I think this is a really great addition to the four-wheel drive. Now, how do I get down from here? There we go. Not too hard after all. So I think it's coffee time. Let me show you how we make coffee. Ooh, it's quite dusty. Inside, nice and clean. That's good. Outside, very dusty. So I've got the induction cooktop here. We made coffee this morning using the induction cooktop with a billy on there, but The downside of that, although I love using the induction cooktop, the downside is that the glass surface of the cooktop remains hot for a lot longer than if I were to boil water using a jet boil. So today we're using the jet boil. I have in here somewhere a gas bottle.
Keep going backwards. To the back. Just there. Under your hand.
Unfortunately, these drawers are always being rearranged as we use things. So we're always trying to find a better way of packing the drawers, and as we use things up, then we put other things in the drawers. So it's just, if I'm not the last person to pack the drawer, then I might not know where things are, but that's fine. That's fine. As long as we can find everything we need. Yeah, so jet boil is actually a really, really good little gadget. There are other things like this on the market. There's another product, reactor, I think it's called. That is also a very, very good thing. But yeah, they all work fairly well, fairly similarly. And the cold water here. Alright. This kitchen bench that you see here, this is something that I designed and made myself, and I think it is absolutely fantastic. Yes, you can buy similar sorts of things from ARB and other manufacturers, but I made this one in my own two hands, and it is fantastic. For that reason, I love it even more because I made it. It's basically made from 12mm pine, and inside I've wrapped that. You can see this 1mm stainless steel sheet, and I've wrapped that around the pine, so that gives it strength, and the stainless steel is nice and easy to clean. And I can open this up and get things out without having to unpack it, and this opens all the way, so it's a really handy way of working with your kitchen stuff. Thank you for the coffee.
That's okay.
That looks amazing. Here's yours.
Thank you.
Here's mine. Beautiful coffee there. And we have some lamingtons.
Treats.
Oh yeah. There you go. Mm. We are absolutely roughing it. This is such a luxury compared to camping 20, 30, 40 years ago. We've got fridges, we've got electric blankets, we've got coffee, we've got induction cooking, you name it, everything. So it's fantastic. This is what I love about touring and overlanding, is coming out into nature, going to a remote place, and you're completely self-contained. You've got everything you could ever want. It is fantastic, and then you just get to enjoy nature. And rather than, yesterday we spent all day in the highly touristed parts of Kakadu National Park, and that was great because there's things there that to see that are spectacular and you won't see elsewhere. There's rock formations, there's artwork, rock art, so that is good in and of itself. But to get on a four-wheel drive track and drive for half a day and end up in a place like this where there's no traffic noise, there's no sound of other vehicles going on a nearby access road, there's nothing, we haven't seen a single car for hours and hours and hours. It's just us and the surrounding bush, and it is absolutely tranquil and beautiful. And this is my opportunity now to just sit and look at the bush and try and absorb it and feel at one with the place. Cheers, guys. Alright, that was a lovely coffee break. It's now time to move on. Hoping I don't hit anything as I reverse. There we go. We've just encountered a warning sign on the road. We've seen a few of these on the way, and essentially there's some hazards. There's a big washout in front of us. It's a massive one. You wouldn't want to drive into there at night. So if you are doing these tracks at night and you see a warning sign, slow right down, because it could be an enormous washout just like the one we're passing right now. If you were to drive into that, you'd break something and your airbag would go off and God knows what else. We continue making our way down Old Jim Jim Road when we come across something entirely unexpected. Well, you never know what you'll encounter up in Kakadu. I'm sure my mother will be very pleased to see me driving along someplace like this. Well, look what's behind me. Come across a sign warning military training area for next 36 kilometers. Red flag or light equals live firing. So yeah, do not leave road. So I'm not intending to leave the road. So I'm sure it's perfectly safe. But yeah, welcome to Kakadu, guys. That's certainly something I didn't expect to see. Now, it is a really interesting area. So the bush is certainly a bit different out on this four-wheel drive track than the more touristy parts of the park. The campsites in the picnic spots in the more touristy part of the park are well, they're well maintained, they're regularly cleared, they're well cared for, well tended, quite tame. But this is the more proper Australian bush. So just like the lunch spot we stopped at earlier, it's very rough, they don't do back burning, it's just left to its natural state. And clearly the military use this area, this bit of bushland, for firing practice. Oh, fantastic. If we see a red flag or light, they're using live rounds, live ammunition.
So we shouldn't go beyond that?
Well, it doesn't say what not to do or what to do, it just says don't leave road.
Yeah.
So maybe they've got landmines or something, who knows what they're doing. But, well, they're obviously practicing, they're obviously doing target practice, so let's give them something to shoot at. Woohoo! Oh, there's another warning sign coming up. Let's see if this is worse than the last one. Oh, big red letters. Caution!
Large-scale military training and operation. Please drive with extreme care whilst this sign is displayed.
Okay, so you can see on the sign, I think the dash cam will pick up this sign. So the sign has got some hinges on the bottom, and the bottom part of the sign actually opens up. And so large scale military training and operation now. So please drive with extreme care whilst this sign is displayed, and the sign is displayed. So we might encounter some military folk in some trucks, which would be really cool. As long as they're not pointing their guns at us. So even though I have a filming permit for Kakadu National Park, I'm strictly not allowed to use drones inside the national park. Now, I've just had a look at the map here, and I can see that ever since we've started driving next to this Defence Force training facility, we are technically outside of the national park. And I suddenly had this thought of, oh, I could use the drone. And then I thought, oh no, I can't. They're just going to shoot it out of the sky with some rockets. No. I can't do that at all. So I want to keep my drone for another day. But there was a track with an open gate down there. Can we go down there?
No.
No?
No.
Susie says no.
No.
FJ says yes.
No.
No?
No. Forbidden.
No. But it didn't say anything. It was inviting. The gate was open. It was saying, please come and see what's down here.
No.
No? Oh well. Well, we almost overshot the turnoff. We are now about to enter the South Alligator area of the park. We've got a bunch of warning signs in front of me. Gravel road, careful driving techniques are advised, beware loose surface dust corrugations. Another sign, check for salvinia. So salvinia can double in size in under 3 days. It chokes waterways, fishing spots and wildlife. Remove weeds from your boat, trailer and fishing gear before entering or leaving this area. Okay.
We don't have a boat. So
we don't have a boat. I've recently looked under the car. I don't think there's anything like that caught up underneath the car. So let's see what we can find.
Okay.
It's a beautiful day for a drive. According to my calculations, it is about 86 kilometers to the coast. I don't think we can go any faster than 60 k's an hour, maybe in some sections even slower. So it'll probably take us 2 hours or so to get to the coast. And I really want to get to the coast because it's the Timor Sea. I want to see it. So the bushland surrounding the track is definitely starting to change. The trees are getting taller, the palm trees are getting denser. It's all starting to look more tropical and more coastal, and I wouldn't be surprised if the track started getting a lot more sandier the closer we head to the coast. It's a beautiful day, 30 degrees. Holy corrugations. Ah, such a shame. We've just taken the turn off to West Alligator Head, hoping to get to the Timor Sea, and we come across this. Road closed. Danger. Feral animal control shooting in progress. It would have been nice if they could have put a sign at the start of the track some 50 kilometers ago, so we would know. Anyway, it was a nice drive nonetheless. We'll turn around and find somewhere else to go. The unfortunate thing is though, we encountered a guy coming the opposite way. He was towing a boat. Now, obviously his intention was to get to the sea, and he couldn't get through either, so he had to turn around. He didn't mention to us, hey, you don't drive another 30 minutes because you'll get nowhere. So it would have been nice if he did, but oh well, never mind. It was a nice drive nonetheless. So what do we do now, Susie?
I had no idea.
Look around?
Yeah.
And then make our way back to
have a coffee.
Jabiru.
Yeah, have a coffee, have some lamingtons.
We've got more lamingtons.
Drown ourselves in our sorrows of today's events.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Yeah. It was fun nonetheless. I mean, we drove down a track with live ammunition going off somewhere off to the side. We didn't hear anything, but I'm sure that they were in the middle of doing their practicing.
Brumbies,
yeah. So, yeah, it wasn't a waste. It was just unfortunate that we couldn't get to the end of it. Yeah. So the area we're driving on now is a massive big floodplain. And a massive big floodplain is just the type of area that the buffalo love to roam around on. Alright, so we've just stopped off next to the West Alligator River. Now, this is frequented by buffalo. You can see trample marks from the buffaloes. They trample everything with their hooves, flatten the grass, churn up the dirt, and there's plenty of buffalo dung around. There's also plenty of bird life around. I'm just waiting for these people behind me to put their boat in the water. So while that's happening, going for a bit of a walk. I'm staying well away from the river, but I'm going to investigate what these birds are in front of me. I have no idea what they are, but luckily there's a sign there to tell me exactly what they are. The sign says camping and fishing. Nice steaming pile for you. This is a whistling kite. I've really grown to love them. You can sometimes hear these birds making their calls. There's one just now. So because we couldn't get to the Timor Sea, I'm determined to get a little bit of the West Alligator River as a souvenir, just a tiny bit in this bottle here. I don't want to go too close to the water's edge. So I'm going to drive up to the water. I'm not going too close. I'm going to stop here. There we go. And now I'm going to throw in this with a weight on it. So hopefully that will do it. Now I need to remember to hold the other end of the rope. It's very important when you're throwing something overboard or into a river. Hold the other end of the rope. Okay, right, let's see. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Hey, that's in. What's happening though is the D shackle is sunk to the bottom. The bottle is floating above the water line, and I'm not really getting much water going into it. Let's try dragging it. Oh, I've got something. If anyone were to drive up now, they're thinking, what the hell are these guys doing?
That's hilarious.
Oh yes, oh yes. I have here some water from the West Alligator River. That's enough for my liking. Okay, let's back out of here. Mission accomplished. Oh dear. The things I do. West Alligator River. Oh, it's got things floating in it. Mission accomplished. The sound of the whistling kite is ever present in the top end of the Northern Territory. It really became a defining feature of our trip. Well, after about an hour and a half of trying to do serious nature photography and probably failing very miserably, we're now heading back to camp. So we didn't get to the East Timor Sea, which is a shame, but there will be more chances coming up. Just stick around for that, because there will be more chances coming up. And actually, I'm glad that we spent some time there and not headed back straight away, because now the sun is getting low in the sky and the shadows are getting long. The light is once again golden and beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful sunset yet again. I think one of the most memorable parts of our trip to Kakadu and the Northern Territory in general are the sunsets. Wouldn't you say, Susie?
Oh yes, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely amazing, especially in areas where you have just complete flatness from horizon to horizon, and you can see the sky slowly turning red, orange, gold, and even after the sun has set it continues on to purple and dark blue and black. It's just beautiful, beautiful sunsets. Extremely, extremely memorable. We've spotted a buffalo. We've spotted a buffalo. Did you get him? Did you get? No.
Doubt it.
It's just before sunset, and this is when they come out to feed. There should be more.
Well, we have to roll slowly.
Yeah. Unfortunately, old Squeaky here is making a lot of noise. Okay, so I've put some lithium grease on the suspension again to try and cut down on the squeaky noises of the old FJ. And I'm hoping to try and sneak up on this buffalo. Just want to take a photo. Well, I finally got my wish. With 2 buffalo just munching away quietly. I spotted a buffalo.
You did. That was an awesome job. That was fantastic.
When you do a guided tour, like we did with the cruise last night, you're expecting to see animals, and we did see animals, and it was great, but it was also like going to the zoo. Like, right on cue, there's the animal, there's the crocodile with his mouth opening, 3, 2, 1, go, chomp. That's exactly what happened, and it was great, fantastic, but it feels like we're behind the big glass window looking out at the animals in the zoo. But when you're out here by yourself, just driving through the bush, and you have animal encounters for real, with real wild animals, it is such a memorable experience. I've had several of those, and they are the absolute highlights of any trip. When I think back to my Fraser Island trip, I think of the snake encounter. When I think of my trip to the Flinders Ranges, it's the emus. Cape York, the horses. And Kakadu, well, it's a buffalo. How cool was that? Yeah. Absolutely fantastic.
I think they're, incredibly shy as well, is because they do get hunted. So they do realise, cars, white men, whatever.
Yeah.
So they notice that way.
Yeah. So I've just pulled off the side of the track. It's about 5 o'clock and the sun is getting low in the sky. It's casting long shadows. Everything is starting to turn a beautiful golden colour. And this is my favourite time of the day. Just thinking back on all the things that we saw today. There was the drive out to West Alligator River, and the drive before that as well, all along through the Defence Force part of the land and all the other things we've seen. And yes, the track was closed and we didn't make it down to the coast, but that's okay because we got to see things that we may otherwise not have seen. We saw some amazing bird life at West Alligator Head, and on the way back we actually saw a buffalo. And yes, we're not very good nature photographers. We tried, we're not that good, but we actually did get a photo of the buffalo and that was just amazing. So Kakadu National Park is such a stunning park to come and visit. It's got such a large amount of bird life, plant life, and other types of animals. We've seen so many different things. It's just really, really incredible. And when you can get away from all the touristy spots, it's even better. Well, we're just driving down the highway here at 120, and suddenly we see some wild brumbies grazing by the side of the road. I hope you can see them because the sun is shining directly at the camera here. Ooh. You're running over there to protect your friend. I won't harm you. Wow, amazing. We are heading to our last destination in Kakadu National Park. We're heading to the East Alligator River to have a look at what's in store for us tomorrow. So we're just on our way to Carl's Crossing. It's about 10 kilometres in that direction. The scenery is absolutely breathtaking. We just don't know which way to look, left or right. Everywhere there's incredible rock formations, including what's behind me. Have a look at this. These rocks are quite typical of the area around me. These are going to glow red when the sun sets. It's going to look absolutely amazing. This is the viewing platform at Carl's Crossing, and this is a notorious place for crocodiles to lie in wait as people go across the river. We are at Carl's Crossing, which is at the most northeastern corner of Kakadu National Park. Behind me is the East Alligator River, and on the other bank is Arnhem Land, and that's where we're going next.
Yay!
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to see more before they're released on YouTube, you can go to patreon.com/forexadventures and sign up for a membership. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next video.